The cargo bay of the Zephyrian flagship smelled like metal and disappointment. Commander Vexhai stood with his forearms crossed, watching as the human delegation prepared to leave. The peace talks had gone well. Surprisingly so. Too well, perhaps. "Before you depart," Admiral Krexhai announced, his voice echoing through the bay. "We have a gift for you, Commander. A token of our new friendship." Vexhai's mandibles clicked nervously. Gifts from the Zephyrians were rarely what they seemed. The Admiral gestured to a side door, and two guards pushed in a human female. She was small by human standards, barely reaching Vexhai's chest even with his shorter third pair of legs. Her dark hair hung loose around her shoulders, and her clothes looked like they hadn't been washed in weeks. "This is Elena Santos," Admiral Krexhai said, with what passed for a smile among his species. "She was a soldier in your human fleet. We captured her during the skirmish at Proxima Station. Consider her a gesture of goodwill." Vexhai looked at the human female. She kept her head down, but he could see her hands were shaking. The other humans in the delegation shifted uncomfortably. Captain Rodriguez, the human leader, stepped forward. "Admiral, we appreciate the gesture, but we can arrange for Soldier Santos to return with us." "Nonsense." Krexhai waved a dismissive tentacle. "She is our gift to Commander Vexhai specifically. We insist." The tension in the room grew thick. Vexhai realized this wasn't really a gift at all. It was a test, or maybe an insult. The Zephyrians were giving him what they considered their most worthless prisoner. He could see it in their body language, the way they held their tentacles high with amusement. "I accept your generous gift," Vexhai said carefully. He had no choice without risking the peace treaty. Captain Rodriguez looked like he wanted to protest. But Elena finally raised her head. Her eyes were brown and tired. But there was something else there, something that made Vexhai's primary eyes focus more sharply. "It's okay, Captain," she said quietly. "Orders are orders." The human delegation left 30 minutes later. Vexhai stood in the cargo bay with Elena, not sure what to do next. His ship, the Talon's Edge, was a military vessel. He had no facilities for prisoners, and he certainly didn't know what to do with a human female. "Are you hungry?" he asked finally. Elena looked up at him with surprise. "Sir? Food." "Do you need food?" Yes, sir. It's been a while." Vexhai led her through the corridors of his ship. The crew they passed stared openly. Most had never seen a human up close. Elena walked with her head down again, but Vexhai noticed she was taking in everything. The layout of the ship, the positions of security cameras, the number of crew members. This wasn't the behavior of a defeated prisoner. The mess hall was nearly empty. Vexhai programmed the food synthesizer for basic human nutrition requirements. The machine hummed and produced something that looked like brown paste with vegetables. "It's not much," he said, setting the tray down. Elena sat across from him and started eating. She was hungry. That much was obvious. But she ate slowly and carefully, like someone who had learned not to waste food. "Why did they call you their worst warrior?" Vexhai asked. Elena stopped eating and looked at him. "Because I failed my first mission. Got my entire squad captured. 23 people. Because I made a stupid mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "Trusted the wrong intel. Walked right into an ambush. The Zephyrians have been reminding me of it every day for 6 months." Vexhai studied her face. Human expressions were still difficult for him to read, but he sensed there was more to the story. "And that makes you their worst warrior?" According to them, yes, sir." "You don't have to call me sir. I'm not your commanding officer." Elena's hand paused halfway to her mouth. "Then what am I supposed to call you?" "Vexhai." "Just Vexhai." She nodded slowly. "Okay. Vexhai, what happens to me now?" That was a good question. Vexhai's ship was heading to the Outer Rim territories for a long patrol mission. 6 months in space, investigating reports of pirate activity. He couldn't exactly drop Elena off somewhere, and he couldn't treat her like a prisoner. "You'll work," he decided. "My ship is understaffed. You can earn your keep in engineering or maintenance." Elena's eyes widened slightly. "You're not going to lock me up, should I?" She considered this for a long moment. No. I won't cause trouble. Good. Chief Engineer Rocktie will assign you duties tomorrow. For tonight, you can use the guest quarters on Deck 7. The guest quarters were small but clean. Elena stood in the doorway, looking around like she couldn't believe it was real. There's a food synthesizer in the wall, Vexhai explained. And the hygiene facilities are through that door. If you need anything, use the comm panel. Why are you being kind to me? The question caught him off guard. Why wouldn't I be? Because I'm supposed to be a joke. Your worst warrior prize. Vexhai turned to face her fully. Elena, in my experience, when someone gives you something they claim is worthless, it usually means they don't understand its true value. Over the next few days, Vexhai began to understand what he meant by that statement. Chief Engineer Rocktie reported that Elena had diagnosed and fixed 3 problems that had been puzzling his team for weeks. She worked quietly and efficiently, never complaining about the tasks assigned to her. But it was the small things that caught Vexhai's attention. The way she always knew which crew members were coming around a corner before they appeared. How she could predict system failures hours before the diagnostic computers caught them. The fact that she had memorized the ship's entire layout after just 2 days. She's strange. First Officer Zekhai commented during their weekly briefing. Too observant. Too quiet. She's not causing problems, Vexhai replied. Not yet. But humans are unpredictable, especially damaged ones. Vexhai didn't like the word damaged, but he understood Zekhai's concerns. Elena did seem to carry an invisible weight with her. She ate alone, worked alone, and spent her free time staring out the observation deck windows at the stars. It was during the 3rd week that everything changed. Vexhai was in his quarters reviewing patrol reports when the ship's alarms began screaming. He rushed to the bridge to find chaos. 3 pirate vessels had dropped out of hyperspace directly in front of them, weapons charged and ready. How did they know our route? Zekhai demanded, as the ship shook from weapons fire. Unknown, replied the sensor officer. They were waiting for us. The Talon's Edge was a strong ship, but 3 against 1 was poor odds. Vexhai barked orders, trying to maneuver them into a better position. But the pirates had them boxed in perfectly. Commander, the communications officer called out. The lead pirate ship is hailing us. On screen, a scarred Borthan appeared on the main viewer, his tusks gleaming with metal implants. Commander Vexhai. What a pleasure. You're carrying something that belongs to us. I don't know what you're talking about. The human female. Elena Santos. We have an arrangement with the Zephyrians. They promised her to us after their little joke was finished. Vexhai's blood went cold. She's under my protection. Not anymore. Surrender her now, and we'll let your crew live. Refuse, and we'll take her from your wreckage. The connection ended. Vexhai stared at the screen, his mind racing. The pirates had inside information about their patrol route. They knew about Elena. This wasn't a random attack, sir, Zekhai said quietly. Perhaps we should consider— No, Vexhai's voice was final. Signal general quarters. All hands to battle stations. Sir. We can't win this fight. Oh. Then we'll die trying. But as the pirates moved in for their final attack, something unexpected happened. Elena appeared on the bridge. She had somehow gotten past the security locks, wearing a maintenance jumpsuit and carrying a toolkit. Commander, she said calmly as weapons fire exploded around them. I need access to the primary weapons array control panel. What? Trust me, please. Vexhai looked into her brown eyes and saw something he hadn't noticed before. Confidence. Determination. And something that looked a lot like controlled fury. Give her access, he ordered. Elena dropped to her knees beside the weapons console and began pulling off panels. Her hands moved with incredible speed and precision, rewiring systems faster than Vexhai thought possible. Elena, what are you doing? Something I should have done 6 months ago, she replied, not looking up from her work. I'm going to show you why the Zephyrians really wanted to get rid of me. The ship shuddered as the pirates' weapons found their mark. Hull breaches were reported on 3 decks. They had maybe minutes before the shields failed completely. Elena's hands never stopped moving. She was connecting systems that weren't supposed to be connected, rerouting power in ways that would have made the chief engineer faint. "There," she said, standing up. "Commander, you now have control of a weapons array that's officially impossible." Vex-High looked at his weapons display and his eyes widened. Instead of the standard plasma cannons, his screen showed weapon systems he didn't recognize. Power readings that shouldn't exist. "What did you do?" "I turned your defensive systems into offensive ones. The atmospheric recyclers are now particle beam generators. Your waste disposal system can fire concentrated plasma bursts. Your communications array can emit targeted electromagnetic pulses that will fry any unshielded electronics." She moved to another console and began typing rapidly. "I'm also uploading the real coordinates of the pirate base, not the fake ones they've been broadcasting." "How do you know about their base?" Elena's smile was sharp and cold. "Because I've been there. 6 months ago, my squad wasn't captured in an ambush. We were sent to infiltrate their operation. We succeeded. But the Zephyrians betrayed us to protect their own secret deals with the pirates." The pieces suddenly fell into place in Vex-High's mind. "You're not their worst warrior. No. I'm their best intelligence operative. And they gave me to you because they thought I was broken. They thought 6 months of torture and isolation had destroyed me." She turned to face him, and Vex-High saw the truth in her eyes. Elena Santos wasn't damaged goods. She was a weapon that had been sharpened by pain and waiting for the right moment to strike. "They were wrong," she said simply. "Now, shall we show these pirates what happens when they threaten your crew?" For the first time since the attack began, Vex-High smiled. He looked at his impossible weapons display, at Elena standing ready beside him, and at the pirate ships closing in for their final assault. "Fire all weapons," he commanded. The Talon's edge lit up like a star going nova, and Vex-High began to understand exactly what kind of gift the Zephyrians had really given him. The first volley from the Talon's edge struck the lead pirate vessel like the fist of an angry god. Where there should have been standard plasma cannon fire, instead came beams of pure energy that cut through their shields like they were made of paper. The pirate ship's entire port side exploded in a cascade of sparks and debris. "Impossible!" shouted the sensor officer. "Commander, our power output just increased by 300%. Vex-High watched the display in amazement as Elena's modifications took effect. His ship was firing weapons that shouldn't exist, powered by systems that were never designed for combat. The atmospheric recyclers hummed with new purpose, sending particle beams that struck the second pirate ship with surgical precision. "Target their engines," Elena called out, her fingers dancing across the console. "I'm reading their shield frequencies, modulating our weapons to match their harmonic resonance." The second pirate vessel tried to turn and flee, but Elena's targeted electromagnetic pulse fried their navigation systems. The ship tumbled helplessly in space as the Talon's edge continued its assault. Captain Thokren, the scarred Borthan pirate leader, appeared on the communication screen again. His earlier confidence had been replaced by rage and confusion. "What sorcery is this?" he snarled. "No military vessel carries weapons like these." "You're right," Vex-High replied calmly. "This is something entirely new. Surrender now, and we'll consider taking prisoners." Thokren's laugh was bitter. "You think one lucky shot changes anything? We have reinforcements coming. 6 more ships will be here within the hour." Winley started tell. "When lucky shot changes, Wano. When lucky shot changes." Elena looked up from her console. "Commander, he's not bluffing. I'm detecting hyperspace signatures approaching fast." "But there's something else." She transferred data to the main screen. "I've been analyzing the pirates' communication frequencies while we've been fighting. They're using Zephyrian military encryption codes." Vex-High stepped forward, his face pale. "That's impossible. Those codes are changed every day. Unless someone is providing them with real-time updates," Elena said grimly. "The Zephyrians aren't just trading with these pirates. They're actively supporting them. Vexhai felt a cold anger building in his chest. How long has this been going on? Based on the communication logs I'm intercepting, at least 2 years. The Zephyrians have been using the pirates to attack shipping lanes belonging to their political enemies. They get to maintain plausible deniability while weakening their rivals' trade routes. And you discovered this during your infiltration mission? Elena nodded. My squad spent 3 weeks gathering evidence. We had enough to bring down several high-ranking Zephyrian officials and end the pirate threat permanently. That's why they betrayed us. Too much money involved to let the truth come out. The ship shuddered as the third pirate vessel fired everything it had at them. Elena's modifications had turned the Talon's Edge into something formidable, but they were still outnumbered and outgunned. How much time do we have before their reinforcements arrive? Vexhai asked. 43 minutes, Elena replied. But Commander, I have an idea. It's dangerous, but it might work. Tell me. Elena brought up a tactical display showing the pirate base coordinates she had uploaded earlier. The base is only 2 hyperspace jumps from here. If we can capture one of their ships intact, I can use its communication codes to call the reinforcement fleet back to defend the base. How do we capture a ship when we're fighting for our lives? Elena smiled, and Vexhai was beginning to understand that her smiles were dangerous things. We don't capture it, we steal it, while they're busy shooting at us. She turned to the engineering console and began bringing up new schematics. I need 10 minutes to modify the transporter array, and I'll need a small team to come with me. Absolutely not, Vexhai interrupted. Commander, this is madness. She's asking you to let her board an enemy vessel during combat. She's asking to help us survive, Vexhai corrected. Elena, what do you need? 3 volunteers who can handle zero-gravity combat, and access to the armory. I'll go with you. Elena shook her head. Respectfully, Commander, you're needed here. Your crew needs their leader. Besides, she grinned, this is what I do best. Within minutes, Elena had assembled a team. Engineer Tokvai volunteered immediately, eager to see more of Elena's technical innovations. Security officers Rixhai and Molken joined them, both experienced in boarding actions. As Elena modified the transporter array, she explained her plan. We'll beam directly into the third pirate ship's engine room. It's the one that's taken the least damage, so it has the best chance of surviving. Tokvai and I will take control of their systems while Rixhai and Molken secure the area. What about the crew? Tokvai asked. Pirates don't typically station many people in the engine room during combat. Most will be at battle stations. We'll have maybe 5 minutes before they realize what's happening. Vexhai watched Elena check her equipment with practiced efficiency. She moved like someone who had done this kind of mission many times before. Elena, if this goes wrong, it won't, she said simply. Trust me. The transporter beam deposited them in a dimly lit engineering section that smelled of ozone and unwashed bodies. Elena immediately moved to the main console, while Tokvai took position at the secondary systems. Rixhai and Molken spread out to secure the entrances. Elena's fingers flew across the pirate ship's controls. The interface was different from Alliance standard, but she adapted quickly. Within seconds, she had access to their communication array. Tokvai, can you lock down their bridge controls from here? Working on it, the engineer replied. These pirates have modified their systems extensively. It's going to take a few minutes. We don't have a few minutes, Molken reported from his position. I'm hearing footsteps in the corridor outside. Elena continued working even as the sounds of approaching pirates grew louder. She opened a communication channel and began transmitting on the frequencies she had intercepted earlier. Pirate Reinforcement Fleet. This is Base Commander Thokren, she said, modulating her voice to match the Borthon's vocal patterns. Emergency situation at the base. Return immediately. We're under attack by Alliance forces. A voice crackled back through the communications array. Commander, we're only 30 minutes out from the target. Are you certain? Confirmed. Full fleet assault. They know about our operations. Return now, or lose everything. There was a pause. Then, understood, Commander. All ships returning to base. Contact acknowledged, Elena replied, then cut the channel. Brilliant, Tokvai whispered. But now what? Elena was already moving to the next phase. She began downloading the ship's communication logs and navigation data. Now we get proof of the Zephyrian involvement and get out of here. The door to the engine room exploded inward. 3 pirates rushed in, weapons drawn. HFY and Molken engaged them immediately. Their training evident in their precise movements. The firefight was brief but intense, the confined space making every shot dangerous. When the smoke cleared, 2 pirates were dead and 1 was unconscious. Elena had continued working throughout the entire battle, her focus absolute. "Got it," she announced. "Complete communication logs, financial records, and fleet movement data. This is enough to bring down the entire operation." "Time to go," Molken urged. "More will be coming." They activated their emergency transponders and beamed back to the Talon's edge just as the pirate ship's remaining crew began cutting through the engine room bulkheads with plasma torches. Back on their own ship, Elena immediately transferred her stolen data to the main computer. The evidence was overwhelming. Detailed records of Zephyrian payments, coordination schedules, and target lists that included dozens of Alliance ships. "This is treason on a massive scale," HFY said, as he reviewed the files. "The Zephyrians have been using the pirates to eliminate anyone who threatened their trade monopolies." "It gets worse," Elena said, highlighting another section of data. "Look at these target lists. Your ship was scheduled to be attacked 3 more times over the next 6 months. They're systematically eliminating Alliance patrol vessels in this sector." HFY studied the data with growing alarm. "But why now? Why reveal all this to us?" Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with emotion. "Because 23 of my friends died for this information. Because the Zephyrians thought they could bury the truth by breaking me. Because someone needs to stand up for what's right." She turned to face HFY directly. "And because you treated me like a person instead of a weapon. You gave me a choice. And I choose to trust you." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Outside the main viewer, the 2 remaining pirate vessels were limping away, their reinforcements recalled, and their leader's ship destroyed. "What do you want to do with this information?" HFY asked. Elena's eyes hardened with resolve. "I want to finish what my squad started. I want to expose the truth and make sure my friends didn't die for nothing. I wanna. That means war with the Zephyrians. They won't let this evidence see the light of day. Then we make sure it reaches the right people first. The Alliance Parliament, the military command, the media networks. We flood every channel simultaneously so they can't suppress it." HFY considered the implications. His career would be over. His crew would be branded as traitors, or worse. The Zephyrians had significant political influence, and they wouldn't hesitate to use it. But as he looked around his bridge, he saw his crew nodding in agreement. They had seen the evidence. They understood what was at stake. "Tokvai," he said finally. "How long to reach the nearest Alliance communications relay?" 18 hours at maximum speed, Commander. Set course, and prepare burst transmission packages for simultaneous broadcast to every major Alliance installation." Elena stepped forward. "Commander, you don't have to do this. You didn't ask for any of this." "No," HFY agreed. "But you're right about one thing. Sometimes someone needs to stand up for what's right. Besides," he smiled, "I'm beginning to understand that the Zephyrians gave me much more than they realized." "What do you mean?" "They thought they were giving me their worst warrior as a joke. Instead, they gave me the one person in the galaxy who could expose their crimes and the skills to prove it. They gave me exactly what I needed to bring them down." Elena smiled back. "And this time, it wasn't cold or dangerous. It was warm and grateful and full of hope. In that case," she said, "let's go to war." As the Talon's edge jumped to hyperspace, carrying evidence that would change the balance of power in the galaxy, HFY realized that the Zephyrians had made a critical error. They had assumed that breaking someone made them useless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Alliance Communications Relay Station hung in space like a metallic flower, its transmission arrays reaching out toward every corner of the galaxy. As the Talon's edge approached, Elena stood on the bridge watching the structure grow larger on the main screen. 15 minutes until transmission range, reported the communications officer. Elena had spent the last 18 hours preparing the data packages, not just the evidence they had stolen from the pirates, but additional information she had been carrying in her memory for 6 months. Personnel records, financial transactions, communication intercepts, everything her squad had gathered during their infiltration mission. Elena, Vexhai said quietly, joining her at the observation rail. Are you certain about this? Once we send this data, there's no taking it back. The Zephyrians will come for us with everything they have. She nodded without taking her eyes off the relay station. I've been ready for 6 months. The question is, are you and your crew ready for what comes next? Before Vexhai could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. The sensor officer looked up from his console with alarm. Commander! 6 Zephyrian warships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're moving to intercept us. Vexhai moved quickly to his command chair. How did they know? Elena was already at the sensor station, her fingers flying across the controls. They've been tracking us since we left the pirate engagement. Look at these energy signatures. They've been using a new type of stealth technology. On the main screen, the 6 Zephyrian ships became visible as they dropped their cloaking fields. They were massive vessels, each one twice the size of the Talon's Edge. This is Admiral Krexhai of the Zephyrian Defense Fleet, came a transmission. Commander Vexhai, you are carrying stolen military intelligence. Surrender immediately, and prepare to be boarded. Uplook sent. They're not giving us a choice, Zekhai observed grimly. Elena moved to the engineering console and began bringing up the modifications she had made during the pirate attack. Commander, I can give you the same weapons advantage we had before, but 6 capital ships is a lot more than 3 raiders. Can we reach the relay station? Elena studied the tactical display. Not in time. They'll intercept us 3 minutes before we're in transmission range. Vexhai stared at the approaching fleet and made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Open a channel to Admiral Krexhai. Channel open, Commander. Admiral, this is Commander Vexhai. I'm prepared to discuss terms. Elena looked at him sharply. Commander, what are you doing? Vexhai held up a hand for silence as Admiral Krexhai appeared on the main screen. The Zephyrian's tentacles were writhing with agitation, finally showing sense, Commander. You will transfer the human female and all stolen data to my flagship immediately. Do this, and your crew will be allowed to live. I have a counter-proposal, Vexhai replied calmly. You allow us to reach the relay station and transmit our data. And I won't activate the weapon system that's currently targeting all 6 of your ships. Krexhai's laugh was a bubbling sound of derision. You're outnumbered 6-1, Commander. What weapon could possibly threaten us? Vexhai smiled and gestured to Elena. Show him. Elena's hands moved across her console, and suddenly the Talon's Edge lit up like a star. Every system on the ship, from the waste recyclers to the food synthesizers, began emitting energy signatures that registered as weapons on the Zephyrian sensors. Impossible, Krexhai whispered as his sensor officers reported the readings. Not impossible, Elena said, stepping into view of the communication screen. Just innovative. Hello, Admiral. Remember me? The Admiral's tentacles went rigid with shock. You're supposed to be broken. 6 months of interrogation. 6 months of isolation. No one could survive that and remain functional. You're right. Elena agreed. The person you captured 6 months ago couldn't have survived it. But she did anyway. And in the process, she became something new. Something you never expected. She gestured to the tactical display showing the modified weapon systems. Did you know that a food synthesizer can be converted into a molecular disruptor in under 10 minutes? Or that atmospheric recyclers can generate particle beams powerful enough to cut through capital ship armor? Admiral Krexhai's expression shifted from shock to fear. You're bluffing. One ship cannot threaten our entire fleet. You're right again, Elena said cheerfully. One normal ship couldn't. But this isn't a normal ship anymore. Would you like a demonstration? Without waiting for an answer, Elena activated a single weapon system, AT, the Converted Waste Disposal Array. A beam of concentrated plasma shot out from the Talon's edge and struck a small asteroid floating nearby. The rock vaporized instantly, leaving nothing but glowing particles. That was our garbage disposal system, Elena explained conversationally. We have 37 other modified systems, each one more powerful than your standard ship weapons. Would you like to see what the food synthesizers can do? The bridge of the Zephyrian flagship erupted in chaos, as officers shouted readings and recommendations. Admiral Krexhai raised a tentacle for silence. Even if your weapons are as powerful as you claim, you cannot possibly hit all 6 of our ships before we destroy you. Elena's smile became sharp and predatory. Admiral, you're thinking like someone who fights fair. But I'm human. And humans don't fight fair. We fight smart. She transferred new data to the main screen. While we've been talking, I've been scanning your ship's defensive systems, your shield harmonics, your armor frequencies, your power distribution patterns. I've also been analyzing your fleet formation and calculating optimal targeting solutions. The display showed trajectories and impact points for dozens of simultaneous attacks. I don't need to hit all 6 ships, Admiral. I just need to hit the right systems on each ship at precisely the right time. She highlighted specific targets on each vessel. Your flagship's primary power coupling is exposed for 0.3 seconds every time your shields cycle. The second ship has a structural weakness, where they installed new armor plating. The third ship's engine core is running at 98% capacity. 1 more percent, and it overloads. The Admiral watched in growing horror as Elena dissected his entire fleet's vulnerabilities in real time. But here's the beautiful part, Elena continued. I don't even need to fire first. You see, while I've been analyzing your ships, I've also been uploading a little surprise into your communication array. Alarms began sounding on the Zephyrian flagship. Admiral, one of his officers shouted, our computer systems are being invaded. That's impossible. Our systems are isolated. Elena laughed. Admiral, you've been listening to me talk for the last 5 minutes. Did you really think I was just making conversation? Every word I've spoken has been encoded with a recursive viral algorithm. Your computers have been learning my attack patterns while I've been explaining them. The chaos on the Zephyrian bridge increased as system after system reported compromise. Elena had turned their own communication array against them, using their attempt to monitor her as a delivery method for her virus. Now, Elena said, her voice becoming deadly serious, you have 2 choices. You can order your ships to withdraw and allow us to reach the relay station. Or you can try to attack us and discover exactly what happens when someone gives a human 6 months to plan their revenge. Admiral Krexhai stared at her through the screen, his tentacles trembling with rage and fear. You're one person. How can one person threaten an entire fleet? Because, Elena replied softly, you made the mistake of thinking that breaking someone makes them weak. But sometimes, Admiral, breaking someone just removes their limitations. She turned to Vexhai. Commander, shall we proceed to the relay station? Commander. Vexhai looked at the tactical display, at his crew's amazed faces, and at Elena standing calmly in the center of it all. The woman the Zephyrians had given him as a joke had just neutralized an entire battle fleet without firing a single shot. Set course for the relay station, he ordered. Maximum speed. The Talon's edge moved past the paralyzed Zephyrian fleet toward the communication array. As they came within transmission range, Elena activated her prepared data packages. Transmitting on all Alliance frequencies, she reported. Parliamentary networks, military command, civilian news services, diplomatic channels. The evidence is being broadcast across the entire galaxy. Admiral Krexhai appeared on the screen one last time, his composure completely shattered. You have no idea what you've done! The political ramifications alone will destabilize the entire sector. Good. Elena replied simply. It was already destabilized by corruption and murder. At least now, everyone will know the truth. The transmission completed successfully. Within minutes, acknowledgement signals began coming back from Alliance installations across the galaxy. The evidence was out, copied and distributed beyond any possibility of suppression. "It's done," Elena said, stepping back from the console. For the first time since he had met her, she looked truly relaxed. Vex's High moved to stand beside her. "What happens now?" "Now? Now we deal with the consequences. There will be investigations, trials, political upheaval. The Zephyrian government will probably fall within a week. The peace treaty will be nullified. Some people will call us heroes, others will call us traitors. And the pirates?" Elena smiled grimly. "Without Zephyrian support, they'll be easy prey for Alliance patrol fleets. The operation will collapse within a month." Vex High looked out at the stars, considering the magnitude of what they had just accomplished. "Elena, why did you do all this? You could have simply served out your time aboard my ship quietly. You didn't have to risk everything." Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of 6 months of pain and determination. "Because my squad believed in something. They died believing that the truth mattered, that justice was worth fighting for. I couldn't let their sacrifice be meaningless. And because," she added, looking directly at Vex High, "someone showed me that not everyone in this galaxy is corrupt. Someone treated me with kindness when I was at my lowest point. Someone trusted me when I had every reason to be untrustworthy." Vex High felt a warm sensation in his chest that he didn't entirely understand. "The Zephyrians said they were giving me their worst warrior." "They were wrong about that too," Elena replied. "I was never their warrior at all. I was always yours." 3 months later, Vex High stood in the parliamentary chamber on Alliance Prime, watching as the War Crimes Tribunal delivered its verdicts. Former Admiral Krexhigh was sentenced to life imprisonment. 24 other Zephyrian officials received similar sentences. The pirate network had been completely dismantled. Elena sat in the witness section, having testified for 3 days about her squad's original mission and the evidence they had died to gather. She looked different now. Healthier, stronger, more confident. The broken prisoner the Zephyrians had given him was gone, replaced by someone extraordinary. "Commander Vex High," the tribunal president called. "Please approach the bench." Vex High walked forward, uncertain what to expect. The tribunal had been debating his actions for weeks. Some called him a hero, others said he had violated military protocol. "Commander," the president said, "this tribunal finds that your actions, while unorthodox, served the greater good of the Alliance. You are hereby promoted to captain and assigned to the new Anti-Piracy Task Force." The chamber erupted in applause. Vex High felt relief wash over him. He looked back at Elena, who was smiling with genuine happiness. "Furthermore," the president continued, "this tribunal recognizes the extraordinary service of former intelligence operative Elena Santos. Miss Santos, please approach." Elena walked forward to stand beside Vex High. She moved with the confidence of someone who had found their purpose again. "Miss Santos, you are hereby reinstated to active duty with the rank of Major and appointed as Chief Intelligence Officer for the Anti-Piracy Task Force. Your first assignment will be working with Captain Vex High to eliminate the remaining pirate threats in the Outer Rim territories." Elena snapped to attention and saluted. "Yes, ma'am. I accept the assignment." Later, as they walked through the corridors of Alliance headquarters, Vex's High reflected on the strange journey that had brought them here. "So," he said, "it appears we'll be working together for the foreseeable future." "Appears so," Elena agreed. "Think you can handle having your ultimate weapon as a permanent crew member?" Vex High laughed. "Elena, I think the Zephyrians were right about one thing. You are the ultimate weapon. But they were wrong about who you belong to." "Oh? Who do I belong to?" "No one," Vex High said firmly. "You belong to yourself. You always have. That's what makes you truly dangerous." Elena smiled as they walked out into the sunlight of Alliance Prime. "In that case, Captain, I choose to fight alongside you, because someone once told me that when people give you something they think is worthless, it usually means they don't understand its true value." "And what's your true value?" Elena looked up at the sky, where ships were launching to carry the message of justice to every corner of the galaxy. I'm the person who makes sure the truth survives, no matter what it costs. Vex High nodded, understanding at last why the Zephyrians had been so eager to get rid of her. They hadn't given him their worst warrior as a joke, they had given him their greatest fear. And now, that fear was coming for everyone who thought they could hide their crimes in the darkness between the stars.